Welcome to the Home and Hustle podcast. If you're balancing a home, family, work, maybe even a business, and still feel like you're constantly trying to keep up, you're in the right place. I'm Emily. Let's get into it. Hi. I'm going to be real with you for a second. I have tried to record this podcast no less than 15 times. And I keep getting wrapped around the axle on all the things, taking random side quests into the unknown, losing my whole logic train. And for 2 days, I have just spun out on this podcast. And I'm just being very transparent and vulnerable with you right now because I want it to be perfect. And I am letting perfect get in the way of good. And I'm going to stop. And so this, whatever it turns out to be, is going to be what you get. And we're not going to pitch a fit. Okay? I am going to talk to you a little bit today about the trade-offs to living in paradise. Yes, my family is living in Hawaii and has been for the past, 5+ months. And we still have a couple more months to go. And I hear it all the time, whether I'm in a work meeting and people are like, Emily, how was your weekend? Someone will cut me off inevitably and just insert their point of view. Well, nothing can be wrong. She's in Hawaii. Or the Emily, you are living my dream. And I want to just start out by saying, I know that there are so many people that dream about living in paradise. And there are people that will save their entire lives to come here one time. And I am getting to live here for an extended period of time. I am beyond grateful. I go to sleep every night and thank God and all of my lucky stars. All the things that have led us to this point, I am eternally grateful for, and I will not take it for granted. And we're loving it. Right? But it does not come without trade-offs. There's a quote that I've heard in different contexts over the years. Everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. Everyone wants to live in paradise. Everyone wants to have the beautiful sky, the beautiful oceans, the soft sand, the sun, the rainbows, the rainforest, the beautiful hikes. Everyone wants to have the thing. The living in paradise, the Birkin bag, the Rolex, the car, whatever it is for you. That's the dream. It takes a lot of real work that a lot of people are not willing to do to achieve the thing. We are not those people. I refuse to be that person. I am very well aware that there are trade-offs, that every good and beautiful thing comes at a price. Am I willing to pay the price? Well, today we're going to talk about the price that I pay. I specifically, my lived experience, the price I pay to live in paradise every day. Because while I physically am living here, I have a very real life that persists in North Carolina. I am in North Carolina up here every day. Every day. And we're going to talk about it today. So thank you so much for letting me open this up on a tangent. If you're willing to go with me, because I will not restart this again, maybe do this while you're folding clothes, or take the kids to the park and I'm just in your ear, or go walk the dogs. Do something other than just sit here and watch me, if that's what you're doing on YouTube or Spotify. But listen to this podcast if you are looking for the actual trade-offs to living in paradise. That's what we're going to talk about today. And there are just a few, but I do get kind of lost in the logic because I'm still living this experience, right? So this is not past tense. These are things that are actively happening on a regular basis. And I have just so many thoughts about them that I can't really organize them in a concrete way. Maybe I'll be able to summarize them after I just say all the things, okay? First of all, my very real life that I still live in North Carolina. I think this is maybe what they talk about. I'm reading a book right now all about time travel and traveling through space and time. And maybe this is what they mean by space travel. Like, I can be here, but I am also still very much walking and being a part of things happening in North Carolina on a regular basis. Maybe I'm one of those people. I work. My husband has not sent me the email that I am independently wealthy yet. I'm waiting for it. Any day, I feel like it's coming, but I have not received it yet. I work full time for a company based out of North Carolina. And so I work 8 to 5, North Carolina, East Coast hours. That is 2 a.m. You heard the record scratch. 2 a.m. Hawaii time. I wake up. And that's good for a couple reasons. Because not only do I need to have a job, and I have one, thankfully, and I love doing the work and I love the people that I get to do the work with. My dad being in a skilled nursing facility, they are also doing shift changes. And typically, when that day shift nurse comes on, is when I'm getting a phone call to let me know how my dad is doing, ask me questions about his upcoming doctor's appointment. Maybe they want to make sure that I'm aware that something else is coming up in the future. So they're making me aware of those things. That shift change happens usually around 7:30 in the morning. So 1:30 Hawaii time. So if I'm already waking up at 2, I am getting that phone call, right? I want that as a phone call that I want to take. And I say that because I don't talk to my dad a whole lot himself and this side quest. If you are someone who is raising children and or has an elderly parent, that is very hard. And when we needed to move my dad about 5 or 6 years ago from Monroe to New Bern, one of the things that we said, we will buy you a house, you will live with us until we find you a place to live. So he lived with us for about 6 months, and then we found him a place to live under the guise that he would get his hips and knees replaced. We had him an appointment with an orthopedist. We were going to do carpal tunnel surgery on both of his hands. He just didn't take care of his physical health in all of his youth and adulthood, and it was starting to take its toll on him in his 80s. And so we said, you can come live with us, but we are an active family. We travel a lot. We have a boat. We do a lot, and we want you to be a part of that. But you have to get your physical health to where you can be a part of that. And just over the course of the 6 months that he lived with us, where we had nurses coming in to assist us around the clock, he kept putting off and saying no to every procedure offered and put on the table for him. He didn't want to have to do the pre-therapy for the hips and knees. He didn't want to do the post-therapy for anything. And doctors are just not going to sign up to do surgery for the sake of doing surgery if they know their patients up front are telling them they are not going to be compliant with the therapies pre and post procedure. That's just a risk that they're not going to put their name on the line for, right? And so we just kept getting turned down. Doctors would say, I can't work with him. Maybe you try this doctor. We would go to that doctor. It was just a never ending cycle. And now he's very mad that I am not physically there. But I have been very clear that I will not put my life and my kids' lives and my husband and our lives on hold just to sit and hold his hand because he doesn't want to take care of his physical health. And that is a very hard thing to do, to look at the person who is very resentful that you, quote unquote, have abandoned them or left them in this place and feel like you are not doing all that you need to do. I have had so much therapy over the past 4 years since we moved him in with us and bought him his own house, and then ended up needing to move him again to assisted living, and then needing to move him again to a skilled nursing facility. every single one of those moves, he has lost more and more of his independent life, and it has come at a cost to our relationship. And I hate that. I don't know how to mitigate that. I guess this is, if you have thoughts, will you please share those with me? Leave me a comment, call me. I would love to talk about that. But my dad, like, he is something that is very real. He is in North Carolina. I am physically in Hawaii, but he is a very real weight on my mind every day on how can I help him more, and not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Like, how can I help him when he won't help himself? And that's a very real burden that I carry on a regular basis while I'm also trying to live here in Hawaii. So I work 8 to 5, which is 2 to 11 here in Hawaii. I have my dad. We also have rental properties. So I'm getting tenants to come in, and I'm extending leases. I'm having biannual HVAC maintenance scheduled. And hey, my toilet is running. I need somebody to come and help me. Maintenance calls, things like that. I am addressing on a regular basis. And then we also have a property on the market for sale. If you're interested in buying a beautiful property in New Bern that has the most gorgeous Carolina room, so many windows, it's beautiful, call me. I would love for you to see it and have the opportunity to purchase it. But I'm getting phone calls from our listing agent. I just did the showing. This is the feedback that we got. Or, hey, there was a showing 2 days ago and they're talking with their lender. I should have something back to you soon. We're having those calls. So while I am physically here, I am addressing all of those things back in North Carolina, not to mention my friends and family. I have so many group chats going on with friends. It was just my friend Ashley's birthday the other day. Happy birthday, Ashley, if you're watching this. And I hate that I can't hug necks and see people in the flesh and just us talk. And a lot of that has come, I've been working remote for over 10 years now. And so a lot of that, a lot of my friendships existed in what was my in-person office work life. And so we've been relegated to texting by and large for the most part. But yeah, I can't wait to go home and hug some people's necks that I have missed so much. Not to say that we don't talk. We talk all the time over text and phone call, but I do miss those folks and hugging their necks. So that's my North Carolina life that is still very much happening, and I'm still very much a part of. Oh, and I could not say I'm still very much a member of our community where we live back in North Carolina. We have a property owners association, and I get asked, I was just texting with somebody yesterday, Emily, will you please run for the board? We would love to talk to you about being a board member. And I know what that comes with. I sat on a board for another neighborhood in Charlotte, and yeah, I am still very much actively involved with our neighbors. I do adore so many of them so much, and I'm active on the Facebook pages and all of that stuff. So for what it's worth, we are still very much involved in our community back home as well. But that biggest trade-off that I have right now is waking up at 2 a.m. to work and have that at least virtual presence in North Carolina on a regular routine basis. That said, let me tell you a little bit about my sleep schedule, because that is what my employers and teammates are the most concerned with. Do you sleep? How are you sleeping? Emily, we're really worried that you're not getting enough sleep, because sleep is so important. And I will tell you, I have started implementing what they call bi-phastic sleeping. So it's bi-phase, 2 phases of sleep, and you get a big chunk of sleep at night. You wake up and then you take a nap during the day. And folks may have heard of like power naps, where you take a nap right after lunch before you get that afternoon slump, like 2-3 o'clock. If you can do bi-phastic sleeping, which I require on my second phase, like midday, at least an hour. If I can't get an hour of just being able to lay down and shut down, go to sleep, I'm not even trying. But I can, if you do it right, It is supposed to improve your productivity because you're more well rested for that afternoon grind. Then you can also improve your memory and your cognition, studies show. I do not have data myself to prove this. What I can tell you is that after my workday is done, which is before lunchtime, I do have a whole rest of my day to spend with my kids. My kids are not ready to go to bed at lunchtime, right? So I have a whole rest of my day to spend with my kids, which is a bonus. And I will talk about that in a second. But I have to have the energy and the patience to be able to do that in a productive way. And so I need a nap most afternoons because my day doesn't end till 8 or 9 Hawaii time usually. That's like a 15+ hour day every day for me. And so I need to be able to shut it down at least 4 days a week, midday, for me to be able to work and function. Okay. So what that looks like for me, and I cannot do power naps. They say 10-15 minute power nap will get you through the afternoon slump. If I close my eyes after my workday is done, but before my afternoon gets in the swing of things, and my eyes have only been closed for 10 minutes, and you try to wake me up, you better be wearing full body armor and or be actively dying because I'm gonna be mad as hell. I have to have at least an hour. At least. I know myself. I cannot sleep for 20 minutes even, 30 minutes even, and feel rested when I get up. I am just more pissed that I even tried to get a nap than I feel rested. And so for me, if I can't even get an hour solid, it's not happening. I am going to lay down for an hour, preferably 2. That's my sweet spot. But I love that whenever I wake up from those naps, my kids have entertained themselves, and they're old enough to do that now. And they've done whatever homeschool they need to do. I wake up, and then we have the entire afternoon to do whatever we want. Okay. And that's so important. That's such an important pro for this living in paradise because I get to do it with my kids. And back home, I often feel like I am stealing from Peter to pay Paul with my time. I am trying to stack doctor's appointments, rental property, business, my dad, work, homeschool. I'm trying to stack all of that between 7 and 6 every day, right? Like that block of time, I'm trying to get everything in. Here, us having such vastly different schedules, Hawaii time and East Coast, I am getting all of my work stuff, East Coast stuff, rental properties, work, selling our house, my dad's stuff, my work. I am getting all of it done 2 a.m. to 11, and I'm done. And then I have the entire afternoon is dedicated to my family, uninterrupted. Unless I choose to throw in, hey, I want to record this podcast, or hey, I want to create this content, or hey, I didn't do this earlier today because I just need to sit and focus, and y'all can watch a movie and I can sit over here and do this while we're doing that as a family, right? Like, unless I make the choice to do something else in the evenings, my time is dedicated to my family. And that is so important because we don't want to just big picture live in paradise. We want to live and experience paradise while we're here. And part of how we do that is together. That's the whole point, right? So I don't want us to get back to North Carolina and say, oh my gosh, we lived there for, let's say, 10, 11 months, but we didn't get to go to this beach, or we didn't get to climb Diamond Head, or we didn't get to go do this because I was so tired, or because I always had to work, or because I always did. I don't want to have a bunch of excuses for why I didn't experience every single thing this island had to offer. I do not want to go home and have a bunch of excuses. We are going to experience this entire island and the paradise that we get to experience every single day, right? So, a beautiful pro is that I get to spend the entire evening with my family uninterrupted, and I'm not having to quote unquote split or share my time in any way between my family and work. So I have really, really, truly enjoyed that. And that is a huge highlight for this time that we're here. Now, going back to talking about family time, I will say that a lot of times because I work from home and we homeschool, I can often feel caged at home because I feel like I can't go out and experience things because I need to be home because somebody's going to, as soon as I walk away from this desk, I'm going to get a Teams message or somebody's going to give me a Teams call, right? It's never failed. It's like the old back in the 80s and 90s, like as soon as I light the cigarette, my food's going to come to this table back when we could smoke in restaurants. I don't want, like, I don't want to feel tethered to this house or this laptop all the time. And I don't here. But my husband, he leaves for work, right? He's working in the hospital. And so he will often get home and he doesn't want to go anywhere else. Well, I want to get the hell out of this house, right? So for me, for us, I have to sometimes text him or say, hey, I want to eat out tonight, or I'd like to go over to Barnes and Noble this evening. Do you want to go with me? So that whenever he gets home, he's not caught off guard by the fact that I'm ready to get the heck out of here. He is ready to go and do, or he can say, well, no, I'll just keep the kids, or if one wants to go with you, I'll keep the other, and then you go and do whatever you want to do, right? But that is one of the dynamics of living and working here is that we have had to share our time differently. He's always been our early person. He wakes up back when we're in North Carolina way before any of the rest of us wake up, and he's used to having those 2-ish hours to himself to eat breakfast, and he can scroll his phone and do whatever else he does in the mornings. And now I'm the one that's usually waking up before he does, and he's sharing that time that he's used to just having it to himself. I'm now in his space, and I'm not quiet, and I'm not like, I need light to be able to see, to type, and to do my work. And so there are lights on and there are things, and he's not able to. So that's just been something that he and I both have had to work through because we're just sharing a space and sharing time that each one of us used to have independent. And now we're figuring out how to do that differently. So that's just something that I would throw out as something to think about, especially if you were going to try to live somewhere where you work in a completely different time zone. Think about not only what will change for you, but what will change for your spouse or your kids. What will their experience have to be while you're doing that thing in that other time zone? From a technical perspective, let me tell you a little bit about the things that I've set up. It's not been many, but in Microsoft Outlook, Google Calendar, what else? Teams calendar, you can set up multiple time zones in your calendar. And if you need to figure out how to do that, just Google it. YouTube has so many videos on how to do this. But I have my calendar, I have my computer set to where my system settings show that I am in Hawaii. I have added a calendar that shows East Coast time, and I've added a calendar that shows Pacific time because one of my projects I'm on, most of the team works off the West Coast. And so I want to be able to know when I'm scheduling meetings, am I scheduling them before my West Coast people log on? If I scheduled this, is this after East Coast logs off, right? Like I have a lot of different time zones to manage as it relates to project managing the projects that I'm controlling today. So Outlook. The other big thing is if you have a W-2 employment contract or you are a 1099 and you have a contract with another company, know what the expectation is regarding your physical location. I have worked on contracts in the past that said work could only be performed in the continental United States. Hawaii is not considered continental United States. So I would not be able to perform work for those contracts while living here. So it's important for you to know if there are any restrictions or stipulations on where your physical person is actively doing work. Okay. Similarly, my husband's contract, the one that we're here for now, it says in that contract that we cannot establish residency while we are here. That's very important because we cannot change our mailing address to be here. We cannot get our driver's license here, which is kind of a bummer. We tried to go get a state ID, not a driver's license, just a state ID. There are times specifically at Diamond Head, for example, where just folks that are residents of the state of Hawaii get access to Diamond Head before it's open to the public. Similarly, there are beaches along Oahu, like Hapuna, where they are open to residents of Hawaii before they are open up to the public. And chances are, especially at that beach, it's full. By the time they open it up to the general public, it's already full and they only have a specific amount of parking. And so they're very quick to block off the road to that beach. And so we tried to get a state ID. We were told when we went that we would have to get a Hawaii driver's license, not just a state ID. They don't just do the state IDs anymore. And if we did that, concealed carry, any restrictions or marks that you have, like if you've got a commercial stamp on your driver's license, things like that, we would have to do all of that again whenever we go back to North Carolina. But again, we have to be very careful that we're not establishing residency here. So just be very clear about what your employment requirements are based on your contracts with your organization, whoever you're working for. The other thing I will say is regarding mail, we could not forward our mail here. We're not establishing residency here. And so we have friends that send us mail every couple months, and they were sending it more when we were getting all the tax things at the beginning of the year, right? Just to make sure that we didn't miss anything and that we had everything to hand off to our CPA before tax time. Tax time is coming up next week as a reminder, so don't forget to do your taxes. But I say that to say that we do have friends that go by our house, get our mail, and kind of stack it and save it. And then every couple months, we reimburse them to ship us our mail, which is a big help because while I changed everything to be electronically building and automatically pulled from our bank accounts while we were gone, I have this fear that I'm going to miss something. And I will tell you that this fear got me wrapped up in a scam last week, actually. I got a phone call right after 2 a.m. our time. So I am making coffee. I have been pulled from my bed at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I get a phone call at the same time from a number that is the same area code as where we live. And I do have a system on my phone that blocks potential spam calls, but I have a certain area codes not included in the blocking because my dad's nurses call from random numbers all the time, and I don't want one of their calls blocked. But it's early in the morning. It's first thing. I get a phone call from a number in our area code where we live, and I answer it. And the guy says, "Ma'am, I'm Sergeant so-and-so. I am calling because you have 2 warrants out for your arrest for missing an in-person jury selection something." I am panicked. My Enneagram type 3 overachiever, people pleasing personality, feeling like A, I have missed something big. B, I've missed it to where a judge has a warrant out for my arrest. And I am panicked. It's early in the morning. I am pre-coffee at this point. And because me missing something has been a big fear of mine. Like the person that gets our mail, I tell her all the time, if something looks important, please like text me. Hey, this looks like it's important. Do you mind if I open it? I'll send you a picture of it. Like, please. I need that. That my biggest fear. Okay. And I do everything I can to mitigate this. But this guy, he sounded like an officer, very just assertive. And it is first thing in the morning, and they've not been able to serve me. But he tells me that someone at my house signed for the jury summons. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, sir. I've not been home. So I didn't sign for this jury. It says, I can't make out the whole signature, but it says Emily. And he was like, and then the last name is just like a scribble. And I was like, well, I couldn't have signed for it. I'm not there. He goes down this whole path of saying, before you do anything, do not talk to anyone about this. You can have no conversations about this. You need to go and turn yourself in to your local authorities, do a handwriting analysis. They will send the handwriting analysis to us, and then we will see if the handwriting matches. If the handwriting doesn't match, you will just show up before the judge, have your jury summons like reassigned. What he gave me a whole process. If it does match, you are going to jail. I'm like, well, can I? What? I'm freaking. My husband is asleep. At this point, this guy's had me on the phone for over 30 minutes. I am freaking out. I come in, I have to turn on the light. I'm like, Terry, I am like, there's a police officer on the phone, and I have warrants out for my arrest, and I have to turn myself in. And he even told me, the guy on the phone, like, you don't have to pay anything. Like, this is how much your 2 warrants are, and you will pay, but I can't take any money over the phone. Like, this is not what this is about. I am telling you how you need to take care of these things, and this is the process you're going to follow. I'm like, what is happening? And I'm texting my friend who gets our mail. And then I have to tell her after he's like, don't text or call anybody until you can do this handprint analysis, like this signature analysis. And so I'm texting her, and he's like, if you text or call anyone about this before we get the signature analysis done, that can lead to more jail time. And I'm like, do not respond to this message. Do not read it. Forget you ever saw this message. My husband is like, hang up on this person. This is a scam. I just sent it to you yesterday that the Craven County Sheriff's Office just put this out. And I'm like, but you also sent me like 1,000 reels to look at that were funny or political in nature or what have you. And I'm just like, I can't look at everything that you send me to look at every day. And but this whole thing spurred this deep-seated fear that I was going to miss something this time that we have physically stepped away from our permanent address, right? Like, it just sparked all the things in me. And my husband's like, you're that old person. You're going to be the person that gets, and I'm like, but you have to understand, like, we are 5,000 miles away and have been for months. He's like, all the more reason, like, this is not a thing. But no, I could have gotten a jury summons. I'm sure that our friend would have let us know, but that's a lot of pressure to put on her. And now I'm going to, and my husband's like, no. So I ended up calling the Craven County Sheriff's Office. This is to make me feel better. Asking them, do you have a sergeant there by this name? No, ma'am. Okay, well, I just got this phone call. And now I've let them know that I haven't even been home. So is my house, like, have I opened up that security risk? Because I am just so freaked out that I have missed this, and this is like a real thing. And so another officer calls me, and he's like, ma'am, I'm from the Craven County Sheriff's Office. You called, and I just want to get the information that I can from you. I gave him the warrant numbers that this guy gave me, the fees, his name, his badge number that he gave me. What I gave him, all the things. And I say this to say that if you are like me, you are the overachieving Enneagram, trying to live your best life in a separate place than where you are physically located and you have a fear that you are going to miss something or that something is going to happen. I don't have a fear of missing out. I don't feel like I'm truly missing out on anything that's happening because I'm so well connected in our community and with my friends and things like that through social media and texting and all that. I don't have a fear of missing out. I have a fear of missing something that just skirts the edges, like jury duty, right? That just skirts the edges of something that I should be mindful of. And that scam played right on into it. hmm hmm So just being mindful, right? So if I can just look back in summary, if you want to live in paradise, there are some very real trade-offs. You have to have a good system in place to make sure that you know what your limitations are as far as work goes. Do you have contractual obligations that require your physical person to be or not be in certain places around the world, right? So know what your contract says where you're employed. Know if you cannot establish residency somewhere, right? So that's very important, especially if you're a traveler, like a nurse or any other type of service provider, and you travel for a living for work. Make sure that you know what those residency stipulations are as well. Have a system in place to get your mail, or at least have someone have a general understanding of what is happening around your location, okay? Around your physical address. We have cameras up all day, every day. We did change out the batteries for solar panels before we left so they wouldn't have to be charged. Like, we tried to do all the things so that we could keep eyes on our physical property. But then we also, right, get mail and things like that. And so we do have people that go by and check on that and let us know about things that are coming, especially tax documents, things that look important, that kind of stuff. And then know about what your family is going to. This is not just your lived experience, but it's also your kids and your husband or wife's lived experience. So think about how your life may change to work in a different time zone than you are physically located, and what they may also have to experience, whether it's sharing your mornings now for the first time, or how do we make sure that we don't just live here and we actually get to experience paradise while we're here. We don't want to go back home again, and I say it because it's so important. You don't want to get so busy trying to be in both places and make sure that nothing's get missed that you miss all of this, right? Like, you don't want to get so wrapped up in living a life that you don't get to actually live. Okay? So take that for what it's worth. And then just know that if you're in a different time zone, there's going to be that give and take of just time that you're going to be spending working. And then there's going to be time that you are going to be spending with your family. And sometimes the trade-off to that is your sleep. And how are you going to make up for that? Because sleep is so incredibly important to your emotional and your physical health. Please come up with some type of system that allows you, whether you do like I do and have a big chunk of sleep at night and then a longer nap during the middle of the day that helps you get through that hump going into the evening, whatever that looks like for you. Make sure that you think about what those trade-offs are. That has been my lived experience over the course of this year. And then don't forget to come up with ways to stay in touch with your friends. Even though your friends know you're living your best life and they may text you from time to time to see how you're doing, you still have to pour in to those relationships. Okay. So come up with ways to do that. Mine is I'll go on Amazon and just send somebody a little $5 something, or for the person that's getting our mail all the time. And even though we reimburse them, like, that's time out of their day to go and just get our mail stacked to get ready to send to us. I send them things a couple times a month or pay them for doing that. And so just come up with ways to pour into those relationships because they're really important. And that's what allows you to have this experience. So with that, I am done. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. If you're still here, I hope you will follow and subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.